No, he's always been sweet and wonderful. I'd always say he was my best friend. You know, he's the youngest of 5 boys, and I always said he's the one that would go the farthest. He's very, very smart, very sweet, and very sincere when he wants to be. I didn't know he had that other side to him that took him to some pretty bad places. We were in denial of what he was going through, total denial, because it hurt to think about it. We didn't like to see and realize that, yes, what we were seeing is happening, and we didn't want to admit that. There were 2 really, really bad scenarios. One was after he was arrested for burglary. Well, as he went through the court system, he was put over in on Jackson Pike, and he called me and was upset. He said, you know, I've been beat up, and finally I went over to visit him, and I saw his lip was all swelled, and you know, and I saw, yeah, and he told me he hasn't eaten because they kept taking his food. And it was at that point.
They never took my food, actually.
Well,
I'm just clearing the air.
You mean you lied?
I never said that.
You said, I haven't, they grabbed my food.
Well, maybe I did lie. I don't remember that.
Okay. He was in jail down there getting beat up. That was one really, really low point. Then, of course, we did find out what to do to get him out. Another low point was he was home. He'd gone through all this, and we thought he was passing all of his drug tests because we hadn't heard otherwise. And we discover right after Thanksgiving that he has, you know, drug paraphernalia up in his closet. And he's saying, well, that's old, that's been there. Well, we checked his arms, and sure enough, there were some fresh marks that he said were old. But I just told we kicked him out. So then we're all going, now what do we do? Now we don't know what to do. So that night, Kevin took him to a homeless shelter, Lutheran, what was it? Faith Mission?
Faith Mission.
Took him to Faith Mission. Went back over, picked him up at 8 o'clock or 8:30 the next morning, and then later that day we all went to Timbuk Christmas Tree Farm. We all picked out our Christmas trees and cut them down.
And I felt miserable.
Like we were just one happy family and just going through the phases of trying to live a normal life with this huge, huge elephant on our shoulders, knowing what, you know, that he's doing this, and also waiting for a court date to come, and not knowing what's going to happen at that court date and what will take place then. I would take my purse to bed with me every night. If I would walk from the kitchen to the family room, I'd take my purse with me. One time I left, this was just a year ago, I left my purse in the kitchen just for a minute, went into the family room, came back out, was talking the whole time and he went into the computer room, and I was talking to him and to Robbie, my husband, his dad, and go on, and I was going to go and do something, and I knew I had a $20 bill in my billfold, and I went to my purse, and my billfold's not in there. Where'd my billfold go? Well, in that 1 minute that I was out of the room, he'd gotten my purse and had taken it into the computer room with him to get the $20 bill, to look to see if I had money, and he was taking it out. A lot of the things that I've had disappeared, and they had over the course of, I'd say, 3 years, maybe even a little bit longer. But you know, like my grandmother, who's been gone for 20 years or longer, you know, this tiny little thing on a necklace, and it had little opals floating around in it. You know, it disappeared, and it probably didn't have a whole lot of value, but it had sentimental value. It disappeared. I don't think about where's my purse when he's there now. And it's funny, I didn't even realize that I don't think that until just now. You know, it's unbelievable. Not only is he back, he's better. He's a better person than what he was, I want to say, before he got into the heavier drugs. He seems to have more responsibility. I know some of it is maturity, that he's grown up, he's maturing, but I think that being here has taught him to pick up after himself, to make his bed, although I know one time you spent the night and you didn't, but he's a better person. than I would say 3-4 years ago, before we realized that there was a drug problem. You know, and I could go on and on about how wonderful he is, because I have always thought he's wonderful. And, you know, I've also wondered, before we realized we had a son with a drug problem, and I'd see people who had children who were killed because of drugs, or their kids were involved in drugs, and I always thought, you know, how can you say they were a wonderful person? They were involved in drugs, they got killed, and now you're saying how wonderful they were. How can you say that? Well, you know, I'm glad that this huge intervention in his life happened, because he's on the right track. His life is really unfolding before us as he grows. But also, I look back at how I felt about those people, and he's my son, and I still love him, no matter what he was doing at that time. You never stop loving your child, ever, no matter what horrible, horrible thing they get into. And, you know, but we did not know how to help him. We knew something was happening. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know how to help him. When he came here, and Terry and Ken talked to Robbie and I, and, you know, and Garrett came here, and we're kind of thinking, okay, we didn't know how wonderful this would all be for him and for us. Just last night at dinner, we were talking, and I asked him, I said, you know, have you ever wondered, you know, what God's plan is for you? Didn't I ask you that last night? And I think it kind of hit him out of the blue, but I feel God has a plan for every single one of us. And I do feel that, you know, what he's been through, he could use to help other people. You know, I'm glad that it's led him back to Christ. I always knew that it was in his heart, but he kind of had to find his way through things, and Serenity Street has definitely brought him back to that. I think they've helped him with finding a job. I think there's been so much support from Ken, from Terry. It's funny to hear him talk about Ken. You know, he's it's not, he doesn't joke about him or anything, but you can tell he likes him. He's happy here. In fact, one day when I picked him up and we were going home, he said, you know what, Mom, I'm just so, it was just a couple, 3-4 weeks ago, he said, I am just so happy with where I'm at right now. And to hear your child say that, and I didn't ask him if he's happy. I mean, that's just something he blurted out. Just hearing that come from him just really filled my heart.
When I was still using, I felt terrible putting my mom and dad, my brothers through all that, but I kept going. You know, my family can trust me now. I can stay the night at my brother's and they don't come out and check on me or anything. It's a great feeling, and I'm not used to it, because I used to have to be watched all the time, and just this place has given me a decent job, like mentioned earlier, and everyone at the house. I like everyone at the house. It's a good place to be. When they bailed me out of the workhouse, I tried staying sober, and I did for a couple weeks, but I went right back to it. I had no support group. I had no tools needed to stay sober. I did it on my own will, and that does not work. I have a huge support group, multiple, you know, your sponsor, my sponsor, everyone at the house, Ken, Terry. I have things to look forward to now, which will help me stay sober. It just, the structure and the routine, it feels good to be in a routine and wake up every day and go to work and not be completely miserable. I look forward to getting my own place and maintaining a job and just being responsible, paying bills. I know once that happens, it's going to feel good to take care of business.
This program is very well rounded with the AA and the Bible studies. And it just really comes down to what are you willing to do to get to where you need to go.
When I first came here, I had a hard time just forgiving myself for all the things I've done in my past.
I remember thinking to myself, he might not wake up at night. I remember having conversations, and I was really hard on my mom because I felt like she could fix everything. And I remember getting a call one night that he had overdosed and wasn't breathing, and my dad helped bring him back to life, and it was horrible. And I used to cry at night thinking that he wouldn't wake up.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I don't know. I guess I was in denial, embarrassed a bit. You know what I mean? It kind of took hold of me. Like when I came here, basically, I didn't have a plan. So I started to see the structure, like the Bible studies, the meetings, and just dealing with guys that come in this house, and you know what I mean, who actually have goals. Guys that have been here a while.
Well, definitely the house is, the nicest house in the neighborhood did help, and the care that goes behind it makes it a good environment. And it makes you feel so comfortable when you are here that you're home. You feel that, I felt that right away. And with the people that are here, they want you to feel the same way too, because that's what they're experiencing. So that's always nice that you can feel real comfortable. You can really, don't have to worry about like having a roof over your head, food. You don't have to worry about paying bills. You just the only thing you got to do is concentrate on yourself, and that's one good benefit about it.
It's really awesome to see people like Terry and Ken devoting their lives to something like this, trying to carry the message and to help other people, but I mean, and the guys in the house also play a big part too, whether it, when you're around other people who have the same common goal, it makes things a little easier, I think.
I started getting used to being busy, man, to making, I guess just to making my days productive, to see changes around me.
But getting to know God and really what God's about, that really changed my whole outlook of life. He understands that we're, at fault from birth, and He's willing to forgive us as long as we believe in Him.
I had no confidence whatsoever. I lacked confidence. I lacked any type of believing in myself or, plans for the future. And I came here, they gave me a chance, and they believed in me. And ultimately, that got me to believe in me.
My family can count on me now, and it's not just me saying that I'm going to do something, it's being able to follow through on that and proving it to my family. I'm sure that there was a lot of doubt in people, which I don't blame them for, because I haven't been a very trustworthy person in the past. But as the years gone by, slowly people have been able to come back into my life. Not saying that they haven't been rooting for me, but they're actually seeing that I'm serious about what I'm doing here, and that's definitely something that I'm very thankful for.
It gave me the opportunity to be able to trust people again. Being surrounded by such caring, loving people, it made it a lot easier to be able to lose that that street mentality, that fear of not being able to trust anybody.
There's no other sober house in Columbus that is even remotely close to the way this place is. But overall, I don't think it's a physical thing that makes it feel like home. It's more of the atmosphere. And it's the atmosphere that, Ken and Terry have created with the rules and the regulations here of just well-being, they don't let people with negative energy just haunt the house. And that's one thing that has helped throughout the year, because I've seen negative people come in here and they always end up falling short. And they get picked out real quick, and it's just that constant in the house where, you know, the guys stay positive and they just try to do what's right for them, you know, and they don't try to drag each other down, you know. We have fun here, and it's just they're trying to keep that positive energy. It's the energy of the house, you know, the morale of the house that makes it feel like home.
You get some momentum going and you fight through these tough times, and it makes those bad days a lot better. And you know, I started to see more good days than bad. I started to see people around me see a change, and I started to see my family like not know who I am anymore. You know, they liked the guy I was starting to become. They liked what I was doing in my life. And I liked it. You know what I mean?
And now he's an amazing dad. He's the best dad that I know. And my friends say that. I mean, my friends see Josh now and they talk about what a great dad he is, and he does so much with Peyton. Completely different person. Completely different. It's good to see.
There's a lot of things that I have to look forward to that are small things, and that's what that's what I really like. I mean, I don't need to be chasing something every day to be happy.
I'm so proud of him. I used to be ashamed of who he was. You know, I didn't want to be around him. And now I absolutely adore him more than I ever have. He has changed. He's done a complete 360. He's amazing. He's a great dad. He's a great brother. Just a great person. Everybody loves him. He's funny and just brings so much life to everything and everyone. And we've gotten so much closer. Oh my God, so much closer since he's become sober and just been in this house. It's made a world of a difference. Very proud of him.
To find an organization that's truly committed to understanding those addiction issues and to assist people make progress in life is a very gratifying, heartwarming thing. So on my end of things, I see the revolving door in the criminal justice system where the same people, even the same families, generation after generation, I would see them in juvenile court, and then later I'd see them in felony court, and then later I'd see them in domestic court, and then later I'd see them in bankruptcy court. I mean, you just see their legal problems are just sort of symbolic of an underlying issue that, you know, we as lawyers didn't treat. So to be involved in an organization that saw that issue and to really dug into assisting people who want to have change in their lives is an easy investment for Monty and I, my wife, to make.
To start, addiction touched my family, and I know there's not a lot of resources for people once they have crossed the line into addiction. And having seen the work that Serenity Street does to some of those guys, there's you know, really nothing more powerful that I've seen than seeing a transformed life through the program, and to be able to witness that firsthand, you know, is powerful.
My brother, after 30 years of drinking and drugs and whatever else he did, he got sober, and he somehow did it. A buddy of mine got him started. He went to Salvation Army, and then he went to Serenity House. And I try to support those two groups as much as I can.
I always think that whatever you give up is what you keep, and what you keep is what you lose. Doesn't have to be monetarily, it can be spiritually, or, you know, one of thousands of different ways. But you'll always be paid back one way or another. I think it's very rewarding to see someone who has hit rock bottom and say, I just cannot beat this on my own. I need help. I need help from Terry and Ken, and probably number one, I need help from some higher power.
I just wanted to take a minute and thank you for your dedication and your contributions here to the Serenity Street Foundation. Your contributions go a long way in helping change lives. I've been affiliated with the Serenity Street Foundation for 4 years. I'm the current house manager, and I just wanted to let you know that your contributions make a positive impact on each life and each resident here at Serenity Street. So thank you for your support.